happened to you, man? You were such a likable character. Now you're an excuse to be tortured as comedy, but it never works out. These are what I picked are 10 worst Squidward torture episodes from the show SpongeBob. And the rules are I will not be including any episodes that I have already reviewed, like Choir Boys, and I'm not reviewing any episodes like Suction Cup Symphony where Squidward wins in the end. So these are going to be some very bad episodes.
Why must every 11 minutes of my life be filled with misery?
Both smarts. Wow, wasn't this episode obvious? Wow, this episode was majorly based on Squidward. It wanted to copy Krusty Krab training video, and a lot of people noticed that, but it honestly didn't act like that a lot for me. And, honestly, this episode sucks. We have the worst 3 writers we could possibly have. The whole 4 or 5 minutes is just SpongeBob being a bad driver and Squidward being a good driver and getting punished for it. And my problem with that is that they show Squidward and they punish Squidward for doing the right thing, like wearing his seatbelts, where it's the right thing to do, but I don't know why he's getting punished for it. So, yeah, not one of the best episodes. A fun fact is that a clip from this episode was used in the Toyota commercial. So, yeah, not one of the best episodes.
Why must every 11 minutes of my life be filled with misery?
Little Yellow Book. Oh God, did no one see this one coming? Again, this is one of the worst episodes from the show. The thing about this episode is that, SpongeBob is, okay, a lot of people have reviewed this episode, and it honestly sucks. So, the thing is, Squidward reads SpongeBob's diary, and there's actually not that much filler, which is excellent. But then, later, when SpongeBob gets humiliated, and every single person who reviewed the Little Yellow Book knows this, all the people of Bikini Bottom are hypocrites because they did the same thing with Squidward, but then later Squidward gets punished. His house gets taken away, he can't get a cab, everyone swears at him. And even in the Krusty Krab, this guy's like, that was that little dude's diary? And, like, it's not that bad, but when you show all the Bikini Bottomites as hypocrites, and then you punish Squidward so much, you feel so bad. Like, I don't mind them being hypocrites, but then Squidward not getting punished, that's still bad, but I don't mind as much as when Squidward gets punished very badly. Something as bad as getting his house taken away. And the Bikini Bottomites don't pay anything, and in fact, they're the ones doing all this bad stuff to him. And honestly, I don't think the stuff in SpongeBob's diary is that bad. The ending with Squidward saying this was totally worth it is again very stupid, and this episode just sucks. I really hate this episode. So yeah, I don't know on Derek Iverson. Yeah, he did Squid's Visit, so you know what he done. But I can't believe it wasn't a Zoo Service episode, and you guys have heard me say that like 10,000 times. A fun fact is this is SpongeBob's Diary's 3rd appearance since boarding school and gone. So yeah, not the best episode. And the only thing I like about it is the I had a brother once joke.
Why must every 11 minutes of my life be filled with misery?
Googly Artiste. Well, after Mr. Enter did the same list, you guys would think I would do the same stuff. But some rules are that I'm not doing them, doing some of the stuff I've already reviewed, and I'm not doing episodes where Squidward wins like Suction Cup Symphony or other episodes like those. Now, Googly Artiste is one of those funny ones. it's one of those episodes where Patrick's a jerk. And Mr. Enters also made a list on that. But anyway, Googly Artiste. Wow, this episode really sucked. So this episode is not really known as a bad episode, and I don't really understand that. It's not really popular, it's not really famous in the bad episode world. And I would totally put it on like a top 30, top 40 worst SpongeBob episodes list. But it's not really that much mentioned. But aside from that fact, this episode really was bad. So first of all, Squidward's art gets taken away, even though it's not that bad, and his beret also gets taken away. And Patrick is like known as an artist in this episode. People give him money, he sells his art, and he doesn't deserve it, obviously, because Squidward deserves more than Patrick. And from that point onward, it's mostly Patrick being an idiot, selling his art at insane prices, even though it's like a rock with googly eyes on it, with glue and stuff. And he makes Starry Night, and he thinks that it's bad. He makes The Thinker, and he thinks that it's bad. And then he goes to the Krusty Krab. In the end, Squidward gets blamed for it. He does everything, and Patrick takes all the credit for it. So, I don't know if you'd call it this a Squidward torture episode or Patrick's a jerk episode, but there's a tiny sprinkle of shoehorned Squidward torture episode.
I'm a critic. I don't make things. I judge things. I'm a judger.
The next one's Restraining Spongebob. Wow, did you not see this one coming? So, a lot of people say that this episode wasn't a Squidward torture episode because the point was that it was supposed to show Squidward being tortured so that they could get to the actual plot. Him getting a restraining order, which I've never really understood why he never got one in the first place. But now that they've finally done it after like 8,000 seasons, it really ruined the idea of doing a restraining order. I thought they'd do something better with their whole restraining order thing. But anyway, it's mostly, it starts off with like 2 minutes of Squidward getting tortured, from getting burned, to getting grease fried, to getting bitten, to getting smushed around. And this poor guy has to survive all that. And later we see his weird lawyers coming in and, him getting a restraining order against SpongeBob. We get a lot of the main plot, which is SpongeBob not being able to do his usual duties because Squidward ignores him and he doesn't let him do anything. And then we get the only thing they can do when they don't have SpongeBob. What to do when there's no SpongeBob? I know, take Patrick. And Patrick, he is very, very dumb and annoying in this episode. I really don't like Patrick in this episode. There's not many problems. I really was gonna enjoy the plot of him getting a restraining order. But the one time they do that, it just gets destroyed. And from this point onward, it never even shows Patrick getting a restraining order. Like, come on, just hint in an older episode. It's like in Truth or Square where they didn't show Jim, and they showed some random guy named not SpongeBob. And it's just cringy. We get to see so much bad stuff for our eyes. We get to see Squidward getting tortured in the beginning, and then he gets an allergic reaction, and Patrick thinks that he's a monster, and he punches him. And it's just so unsettling, and I really hate this episode. A fun fact is in Germany, this episode had 2 title cards. I really don't know, and I searched it, but I couldn't find any title cards anywhere. But yeah, when you go to SpongeBobia Wikia, that's what you find. Yeah, not the best episode. We're done.
Why must every 11 minutes of my life be filled with misery?
Good Neighbors. Wow, did no one ever see this one coming. This was the first official Squidward torture episode, and it managed to make it onto this list. I really don't understand that logic, but it's possible. So this episode really sucked. So it was the first episode where Squidward didn't do anything wrong and he got majorly punished for it. So he was trying to enjoy his Sunday and SpongeBob and Patrick come and annoy him. No duh. When they come to annoy him, he gets driven away. And he installs the security system. It makes his house destroy Bikini Bottom. And guess what? Just guess. All Bikini Bottomites come, and for every Sunday for the rest of his life, he has to do community service. Yeah, which is really weird because there was another episode dedicated to how he has to go to work on Sundays. So I don't really understand that. This episode really sucked. There's not much to say. It's just that SpongeBob and Patrick are really annoying, and they can't get it through their thick skulls what Squidward's saying. And I just really hate Patrick and SpongeBob in these Squidward torture episodes. And this is the fun fact is this is the first episode to be written by one person. Yeah, and the first episode to be a Squidward torture episode. As Squidward says,
why must every 11 minutes of my life be filled with misery? Why?
I don't know, pal. Maybe you're just unlucky. Wow. But this episode goes way past the point of being unlucky and just bothering Squidward. This episode manages to do every possible thing you can to poor Squidward. So he puts a casserole in the oven, of course. SpongeBob takes his vacuum cleaner because Patrick told him that if he borrows something, Squidward will have to come and take it from him. And when I say borrow, I literally mean steal or take or anything else. And when Squidward comes to SpongeBob's house, obviously, since SpongeBob has came to Squidward's house enough times to make an exact replica, and I mean exact, and they're actually like playing like legit horror music and stuff in the background, so I'm not kidding about this episode. And to the tiniest of details, like a stitch on a cushion, a crack in a wall, everything down to like the stuff inside his bathroom. And he just does all this so quickly, and it's just so disturbing. And by the way, the first half of this episode is just SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs asking how his day was at work. And then we got 4 minutes of SpongeBob going around places with Squidward and saying, please come home. Please come over for a visit. And I really enjoyed that one, 2-second scene where Squidward steps on SpongeBob's face. Because I really enjoyed that. So we get the worst writers with the worst episode, the worst cringe, the worst everything. He talks to an inanimate object. And, of course, in the end, he has to sleep over with SpongeBob because his house gets blown up. And in the next few episodes, the same kinds of things happen to him. I just wonder how it's worse. Oh, and by the way, the fun fact is that the Forever Glue and Jigsaw Puzzle are showed for the first time. Later, the Jigsaw Puzzle comes back for Pineapple Fever, and the Forever Glue comes back for, you all know. So, yeah, I shouldn't just restate the obvious. Now we're going into the deep, deep, horrible episodes we all know and hate. Let's go.
Why must every 11 minutes of my life be filled with misery? Why?
Wow, when I said the same thing's gonna happen, you never expected this one, did you? Wow, this one had everything wrong with it. Squidward's house gets destroyed, Patrick and SpongeBob are annoying, Squidward gets tortured, and every single detail of annoyance gets put into this episode. First of all, they copy the whole taking care of thing from Rockabye Belleville. And, by the way, these same writers almost wrote One Course Meal and other dumb episodes. including stuck in the ringer. So, Squid Baby. Yeah, you never expected this one, did you, boys? So, if you don't understand what I'm saying, go to the zoo service analysis of a writer video. You'll learn way more about what I'm saying about these writers, Casey Alexander, Zoo Service, Mr. Lawrence. And it's just horrible. This episode managed to, scar me for life. So, first of all, screw the laws of trajectory. There is a truck, and it heads right into Squidward's house, right before Patrick lifted the road so it wouldn't hit Squidward, which later is shown that he dropped the road on Squidward's face, when the doctor said not to let any damage to his face. I really hate these writers' guts. And we get the itis treatment again, as we always do in episodes like Demolition Doofus. This episode is just unsettling. It's cringy, it's fetish, it's annoying, it's Squidward torture. It's everything put into one horrible, disgusting little blob we call Squid Baby. Patrick throws Squidward into the ceiling, and his head also inflates. SpongeBob and Patrick are extremely annoying in this episode, and they deserve anything that can happen to them. I'm legit serious. Anything. I would kill these two for all I care. And a fun fact is that the My Like gag was re-shown for the first time since shuffleboarding. Don't believe me? Watch the episodes. You'll see. Or at least look at SpongeBob Wikia. Let's go into the top 3. It's obviously pretty obvious. Or is it?
Why must every 11 minutes of my life be filled with misery? Why?
So, this episode is very, very, very bad. This episode is very, 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 very bad. It is bad enough to kill me. So, it's okay, writers. So, if you are okay with Truth or Square, Choir Boys, and other dumb things like those. So, Cephalopod Lodge. Wow, this episode indeed. This episode really managed to kill me. So, let's see the main problem. Squidward gets tortured. Yeah, no duh, because this is a top 10 worst Squidward torture episodes. But you don't understand. Squidward gets tortured. More than he should. First of all, the security guard is totally dumb. And it totally ruins the episode. And it's just so bad to see, this guy who's supposed to, block SpongeBob and Patrick from coming in, even though he did a handshake with Squidward, later kicks out Squidward because they say he let SpongeBob and Patrick into their lodge. So where were you when you were there?
Well, if it wasn't your fault, and it wasn't Squidward's fault, whose fault was it? Maybe it's your fault.
That might be a slight possibility, saying that you're the guard. Then half the episode, the second half, is mostly SpongeBob and Patrick trying to get Squidward to join their dumb club, and a bit of more Squidward torture. And they finally ruined the last 12 days of the year where Squidward was actually happy, which again defies the whole "Are you happy now?" episode, which is, by the way, not on this list, so don't expect it to be, because SpongeBob actually helped Squidward in that episode, so I don't hate it. Oh, God. A fun fact is that SpongeBob was dropped on his head when he was a baby. We apparently didn't know that yet. That's like the most obvious fact since Hercules.
Why must every 11 minutes of my life be filled with misery? Why?
Breath of fresh Squidward. When Mr. Enter put this as his number 2 on his list, and he said the other ones that would have been number 1, you know what's my number one. So just hold it into your thought bubble until I finish this one, and then you can all yell it out when I finally say it. So, the breath of fresh Squidward. This one was very, very bad. Very, 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 very bad. Breath of fresh Squidward, it started off with, SpongeBob being nice to Squidward and all. But then, when SpongeBob overreacts over an award, then he kicks out Squidward of his party that he won, and no one ever says anything. And it's just so annoying, and okay, how would I say this? Okay, before I get on to yelling in your ears, a fun fact is that there are two grills in this episode. And how can you miss that animation error? It's just so obvious. But this episode was so bad, I was crying at the end of it. So it starts off with Squidward being mad at SpongeBob and Patrick. They were in his house all night, and it's seen that they were with him every other holiday. And they watched the sunrise every morning with him, which is very, very wrong and off-putting. And it's just so cringy. Then we get that Squidward's obviously mad. We get a story they already know and didn't listen to about Squidward being mad at them. And the rest is just Squidward getting electrified. And, the rest. Squidward being good to them, which I really enjoy because SpongeBob gets a SpongeBob of his own, and he really deserves that. And which is why I really like this episode, the first half when I first watched it. But then when SpongeBob overreacts over nothing and treats Squidward so badly, he doesn't treat Squidward like that every single day, I just want to kill SpongeBob. And the episode expects me to feel bad for SpongeBob. And it's just so bad. And when we finally get to the party, where it's Squidward's party, where SpongeBob's sad because he lost an award and he has to work with Squidward now, it's just so off-putting and so uncomfortable. And I just want to kill SpongeBob. And when Squidward goes out, I actually do feel bad for him because he's Squidward, and I feel bad for him when he has to go out. And it's just so annoying and so bad. I just want to kill myself in this episode. And then it's just the worst ending, a horrible plot. And I only like the first half. That's all I'll say, okay? So this is number one. Listen to this before we go.
Brain is full of spiders. You've got garlic in your soul, Mr. Grinch.
Yeah, that's probably SpongeBob in these episodes.
Why must every 11 minutes of my life be filled with misery? Why?
I don't know, buddy. Maybe it's just your intuition. Maybe you're just unlucky. Maybe you were just born on 9/11 or maybe Friday the 13th or something. But as we all know, SpongeBob's birthday is on June 14th, and we can all kill ourselves on that day when he's finally so happy. And February 14th is a No Squidward Day, so let's mark our calendars because we're about to die. So, number one's pretty obvious, so I shouldn't keep making you wait for suspense. Yeah, no one saw that coming, did they? But I really didn't go with Mr. Enter's idea when he said Breath of Fresh Squidward is worse than Boating Buddies. I understood his idea, and the first time I watched it, I kind of liked that. But, to be honest, Boating Buddies is a very bad episode. So, we got the worst writers, Aaron Springer and Richard Purcell, the same two who wrote Choir Boys. I wanted to believe that Aaron Springer was a good guy because he did episodes in old SpongeBob like Band Geeks and other episodes like Krusty Krab training video. But now he's just turned into a bad guy with Richard Purcell going and making horrible faces, horrible episodes. So let's get on to the actual episode. So this is really cringy. SpongeBob gets up from what he's doing and he notices Squidward because he was just breathing. If you gotta be like obsessed with the guy, just go marry him or something. I don't know. But stop making us feel more cringy than Squidward should feel. Honestly. And then, when Squidward tries to escape because he apparently forgot his car keys, so SpongeBob knew he was going to run to his car before he actually annoyed him, which never really makes sense. And of course, Squidward crashes. They actually go to boarding school together, which is a good plot, but it's recycled from New Student Starfish. But other than that, it's just a horrible episode. So we go to the boarding school. Mrs. Puff pretends like SpongeBob's not doing anything. SpongeBob just acts like he's obsessed with the poor guy. And then Squidward gets beat up for nothing. His whole body is in a cast just because he's annoyed by SpongeBob and he is angry because of that. And it's just not a funny episode. They try a bit to be funny, but they fail almost immediately. And, my voice is killing me right now. Honestly, this episode really sucked. And I feel bad for the next Squidward. And he can't write his exam. The next week he has to come back, which means next week he has to come back, except it's worse. And he's probably going to go the next week, and the next week, and the next week for the rest of his life. Just like in Good Neighbors, where he has to do community service for the rest of his life, but it's never mentioned again. So there you have it. Top 10 worst Squidward torture episodes. This poor character has been battled, brewed, his body constantly mashed, and his house constantly destroyed. So, yeah, this list isn't the best list. You guys are probably mad by the time this ends. Thanks for watching. This is brought to you by A.S.K, where you can find the funny videos for a short time. Here are the episodes, review cards. I miss the good old days.